Level 1, the Induction. The first day you enter the mine, you feel the earth swallow you whole. As the cage drops you down, 100 meters, 200, 300 per minute, your ears pop. Light fades from gray to absolute black. Your cap lamp flickers on and the world shrinks. Only a few meters of stone corridor remain. The sun you left behind is now merely a theory. The foreman tells you one thing: listen to the walls. You won't understand what he means for the first few weeks, but in time you learn the cracking of stone, the sudden shift in air pressure, the metallic warmth in a tunnel's breath. The underground has its own language, and those who don't speak it don't last long here. The mission. Your task is clear: carry rock samples, move drilling equipment, and follow the footsteps of veteran miners. Every morning, a safety briefing. Every day, the same questions. Is your gas detector active? Is your cap lamp fully charged? Do you know your evacuation route? They ask these questions like a routine drill, but the answers are paid for with your life. Within the first month, you realize how heavy everything is. The gear is heavy. The air is thick. The silence is oppressive. In the depths of the tunnel, time flows strangely. Neither fast nor slow, just different. The world above drifts away. Checking a message from your spouse, you realize you've started thinking of the surface as up there. The transformation. But gold changes everything. The moment you hit your first vein, when that yellow glint reflects off your lamp from the rock face, there are no words for that feeling. A substance that was a victim of volcanic upheaval a billion years ago, frozen in stone, crushed by tectonics, carried by hydrothermal fluids, and now shining right before your eyes. You feel as if the earth has chosen you. It hasn't, of course, but it feels that way. By the end of 3 months, you are no longer a trainee, but you don't yet know the real truth. The underground has changed you, and this change is irreversible. Level 2, the operator. The drill becomes your instrument, a 100-kilogram beast with hydraulic arms, biting through rock millimeter by millimeter. Controlling it requires both raw power and extreme precision. Push too hard, and the bit snaps. Too little, and you make no progress. Enter at the wrong angle, and the entire drilling plan collapses, and the geologist will have your head. The team begins to trust you. In the underground, trust is a massive achievement. It isn't won by skill alone, it is won through consistency. Working with the same rigor every morning, every shift, whether you are tired or sick. When someone asks, "Who's the operator?" and they say your name, you've earned that trust. The data and the toll. Drilling data tells you where the gold is. Every hole is a question. The rock's answer is sometimes yes, sometimes no, but mostly go deeper. While geologists analyze the samples, you keep drilling. Sometimes the results are brilliant, high grade, wide vein, and the team celebrates. Other times, you toil for months only for the vein to be too thin, lost, or non-existent. In mining, this is called a dry hole. The weeks weren't wasted. Learning what isn't there is also progress. But in that moment, it doesn't feel like a win. Hours spent underground begin to accumulate: 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 hours. Your body adapts. Your hands thicken. Your shoulders broaden. Your hearing threshold shifts. You can distinguish tunnel sounds even in a city. The hum of a pipe, the crack of a stone, the vibration of equipment. But the toll also accumulates. Vibration disease starts silently. First numbness in the fingers, then loss of sensation in the cold. Your lungs battle rock dust, even with masks and filters. Seeing a doctor write early-stage pneumoconiosis on your first x-ray is something no one mentioned when you started this job. Level 3, the blasting specialist, the blaster. This title is the most dangerous in the business, and it takes years to earn. Explosives do not talk to you. They do not warn you. If you make a mistake, there is no second chance. Being a blaster requires more than technical knowledge. It requires a specific psychology. The discipline to apply the same steps in the exact same order, no matter how tired you are or how much someone screams for haste. Hole placement is a science. You read the rock's texture, deciphering fracture lines and mineral orientation. Drill in the wrong spot, and the blast shatters the wrong section of the wall. This is inefficient and makes the tunnel unstable. A great blaster visualizes how the rock will break before the trigger is even touched. The blast. During the blast, everyone is evacuated. You are the last to leave, checking every point. Then, from a safe distance, you press the button. That sound, the sound of an underground explosion, is unlike anything else. The shockwave lifts you off the ground. The tunnel shudders. A cloud of dust engulfs everything, followed by a sudden heavy silence. You wait a few minutes for the gases to dissipate and the dust to settle. Then you go back in to see the results. A good blast looks like this. The rock is broken exactly as planned. The gold vein is exposed. The tunnel remains secure, everything according to the plan. This moment, finding order within the chaos, is the most satisfying part of the job. A bad blast looks like this. The roof collapses. Equipment is crushed. The vein is buried, or worse, and you don't even let your mind go there. You understand the true weight of the profession in this moment. A single mistake costs another man's life. This responsibility either makes you more meticulous or drives you away. If you're still here, you have no choice but to be perfect. Level 4, the Mine Geologist, Field. Now you are reading the rock, not just digging it. As a geologist, your mission has shifted. Instead of carrying gear, you collect data. Instead of breaking the rock, you interpret it. But you don't do this from a desk, you do it underground every single day. The field geologist is where theory meets reality, the junction of technical mind and physical grit. In the early hours, you walk the tunnel walls. You map the mineralogy, which rock type is where, which way the veins are heading, how the grade fluctuates. Your bare hands feel the stone. Will this rock change when it gets wet? How deep is this crack? Gold is there, but rarely visible. Most of the time it is microscopic, locked inside pyrite or arsenopyrite, or buried within a quartz matrix. Your eyes can't see it. The lab analysis tells the story. But a good geologist feels which rock is worth analyzing and which tunnel is worth advancing. This intuition is born from thousands of hours of observation. Sometimes you are wrong. A zone you predicted as high potential comes up empty. The miners don't blame you, but you blame yourself. The underground is the kingdom of uncertainty, and you learn to manage it, not by giving up, but by standing behind your decisions. And sometimes you are right. On a wall that everyone else passed by, you see the hint of a new vein. You call it out. The drill goes in. The results come back. High grade, wide zone, significant reserve. That day, the crew shakes your hand. The mine manager reads your report and tells you he's proud. Level 5, the production chief. You are no longer working just for yourself. You manage the production of 20, 30, sometimes 50 people. Every tunnel being drilled, every blast being set, every piece of equipment under maintenance, it all forms a living map in your mind. Production targets are real. They are measured in tons, in grades, in costs. Every day you stand between the company's expectations and the underground's reality. The earth does not negotiate. Water floods in, rocks collapse, equipment breaks down. The company asks, why didn't we hit the target this week? The answer is always the same, because the underground is a living thing and you cannot plan for a living thing. But that answer isn't enough. You update the plan. You forge a stronger one. You open alternative tunnels. You reorganize the crew. Sometimes you finish 2 shifts yourself because the person who was supposed to replace you hasn't arrived. At this level, the hardest part is loss. Work accidents, life-altering events are no longer abstract. You mourn someone whose name you knew, someone whose coffee order you remember. As the leader, you must remain strong. The investigation begins, reports are written, safety meetings are held, the system moves on. But you never forget that name. Leadership teaches you this. You can manage the process, but you cannot manage people. You can give them the right environment, the right gear, and the right information. But the final decision always rests with the individual. You learn to live with this truth. Level 6, the mine manager. Now, the mine is yours. You go underground, but not every day. Your duty is no longer there. It is ensuring the entire system functions, managing the budget, maintaining team stability, handling relations with the company, environmental agencies, local residents, and regulators. You see the whole picture, and the continuity of the system rests on your shoulders. Gold prices fluctuate. One week, your cost per ton target is met. The next week, global markets drop the price of gold, and that same production is suddenly unprofitable. You manage this volatility without cutting staff, without neglecting infrastructure, and without ever compromising safety. Environmental responsibility becomes concrete here. If the cyanide leach plant isn't managed, water sources are poisoned. If the rehabilitation of old pits is neglected, the ground collapses in a decade. If mercury waste is mishandled, it affects the health of generations. These decisions carry your signature. This weight is on your back. A great mine manager understands the equation. A mine generates wealth, but one day it ends. What remains afterward? The marks of managers who didn't ask this question are seen in abandoned, toxic, ugly lands for decades. The marks of those who did are reflected in restored landscapes and lasting bonds with the community. There are two paths. You choose which legacy to leave. Level 7. The senior exploration geologist mines don't end, but reserves do. As a senior exploration geologist, your job is to step where no one has stepped before. Beyond the field work, you search for new deposits through regional geological maps, satellite imagery, geophysical data, and decades of literature. This work requires incredible patience. Finding a deposit takes years. First, you identify potential zones. Then come the initial field studies, sampling, and the long wait for analysis. Most results are negative. You keep going. You pick a new region. The cycle repeats. Sometimes years of research are closed by a single negative geochemistry report, and sometimes they aren't. A discovery, truly finding a new deposit, is recorded in geological literature with your name. The sentence, "Deposit X was discovered by Y," remains in the records for decades. This is making history in science. There is no more permanent mark to leave in mining, but most discoveries never happen. Most of your life is spent proving what isn't there. This is negative data, and it is valuable. You are telling future researchers, don't look here, but it is hard to live through. Working for years only to reach the conclusion of nothing is the silent bill of underground science. Level 8. The Master. This title isn't given by a certificate. You are a master miner. You read the underground without even thinking. You look at a tunnel wall and see the history of the rock, how many hundreds of millions of years ago it formed, why the metal accumulated here and where it went. You predict, and usually you are right. Your hands no longer analyze, they feel. When you pick up a rock sample, you can tell its worth by its weight, its surface, and the way it breaks. Sen hear the slightest change in the equipment's hum and feel the faintest pressure difference in the tunnel air. But the price of mastery has accumulated. Your knuckles are chronically swollen. Your lungs work a little harder every morning. Nerve damage from years of using vibrating equipment is permanent. Some masters spend their final years of retirement with an oxygen tank. You know exactly what the profession took from you, the things you left behind under the earth. Passing on knowledge becomes your greatest responsibility. You watch the young miners. You teach them not by what you say, but by what you do. Because underground knowledge isn't written down, it is transferred. By showing them the rock, the drill hole, and the blast pattern. If this knowledge dies with you, it cannot be recreated. So you teach, with patience and precision, because you finally see the true value of what you know. Level 9. The Legend. This is a word others say, not you. The career ends. It ends one day, either through retirement or because your body simply won't allow any more. What remains? Engineers who know your name remain. People who learned something from you 10 years ago in a mining school or on site, now managing their own crews. Geologists who work based on your maps remain. Tunnels opened using your methods, still producing, remain. And one day, years after you've retired, a young geologist comes to you. He has a problem he can't solve. He can't understand why a site isn't yielding what was expected. Look at him. Listen. Then, take a rock sample in your hand and show him. Because the true knowledge of the underground is passed this way. Hand to hand, generation to generation. All these years the underground gave you everything. A profession, an identity, a meaning. And you gave back to the underground. Labor, attention, time. The balance can never be perfectly struck. But it was never expected to be. Every morning, somewhere, a young miner steps into the cage for the first time. The light turns gray, then black. The cap lamp flickers on. The world shrinks, and the underground begins waiting for someone new.